See, doctor-patient confidentiality is truly important. The doctor has comprehended the ethic of the Greek Hippocrates about doing no harm. So, you know, if you had prescription drugs available to the public from vending machines placed in Woolworths and Coles, it would also mean that only the doctor and the patient know the names of the substances that the patient is having. So doctor-patient confidentiality is actually superbly reinforced if the drugs come from a vending machine. There won't be a pharmacy team and staff looking at a drug and looking at a patient and having a babble. And who wants to think about that when they're sick? So yeah, you know, part of the Hippocrates creed is that you discuss what is your ailment and what all it entails, and entrust that information to the GP. The pharmacist obviously can gather some aspects of diagnosis just from looking at the substance. But yeah, I guess I'm not opposed to this vending machine thing. It eliminates the chance that a pharmacist will get in the way of what the doctor has decided on. So that's not a bad thing. In my sovereignty, I failed to admit that I did teach Rolf Harris that the greatest source of inspiration was a book in which the human race was created through numerous acts of sexual incest and inbreeding, and Rolf Harris did indeed become inspired to sexually approach children. If the price of my sovereignty is teaching religious pedophilia to some citizens, I must admit that I didn't cause them To what greater source of inspiration can we turn to than the imperishable truths to be found in the treasure house called the Holy Bible? Sometimes you have to kick some ass. Hello, DETERIORNATION viewers. It's been decided of late to implement a new segment, which will be called Latin Logical Fallacies and You. And essentially what I'll do is teach and discuss a sorry, I need some more wine. These are strange things that the atheist cannot make sense of in any meaningful way. When the Christian, however, can make sense of the life and the career of Jesus of Nazareth and all the odd things surrounding him, especially the resurrection, and it is this: Jesus Christ is the risen Lord. Okay, so Ignoratio elenchi, maybe it's elenchi,
ignoratioelenchi. Ignoratio elenchi. To set out to prove A, but prove B instead. Not only arguing besides his points, but directly to another conclusion. So I suppose a recent example of that for me would be Roger Toll arguing for the truth of Freemasonry is more meaningful than the philosophical progressions made in the 17th, 18th, 19th, and 20th century, and continuing on into this century. Studies in philosophy he had demeaned as with a very oversimplifying judgment. He just called it all thinking about thinking. And I think that does philosophy an injustice. I would have philosophy taught at least a general introduction, not like in a Catholic school or Marist or something like that where there's religious ed, but where there's like the sort of attitude I have now, which about it being better to research 1001 philosophies but subscribe to none of them than it is to be loyal to the name of one particular group and have to have to pick up their shit for them, or have to defend statements made by other people in your group, or else the whole group loses its some of its integrity. Whereas as a philosopher, you're just free to read what people have to say. As to what ideas represent you, that's entirely up to you.
The question of whether strictly materialistic worldview can justify the use of logic may well be an interesting question, although I think it's based on a number of faulty, unstated premises. But I'm not here to logically defend logicality. We concur that the universe seems to be a logical place, and we all have a
Anyway,
on the necessity of logic.
so
Another common tactic of Christians is to try to insist that
yeah, and setting out to prove his beliefs were justified, Roger Toll wound up proving that my unbelief was, you might even say, internationally more justified.
As an example, I cannot perfectly conclude that we have been successful to show that atheism makes more sense than Catholicism, since Catholicism is the most
Statement may perplex some of you, but it won't for too long.
To make things more simple,
Yeah.
the Oxford English Dictionary defines atheism as disbelief in
It's quite a shameful
religion based on the person.
abuse of power. I mean, yeah, that second last line at the end of Doppelherz, where Marilyn Manson says, "Each time someone believes what I say, I become a lie." So I had like the two owners of Capital Chemist. They took a particular interest in me after watching the film, because they may have blamed the film for my decision to start using cosmetics, but it most certainly wasn't. But in any case, they took an interest into, doing what they do as a private company, which is their Privacy Act violating checks. And I wasn't getting into any fights. There's been no feuding between me and a sibling since around the age of 12. And so, yeah, why this person had this interest in, well, I imagine it was Roger and his business partner Gary. Is that,
Now, there are many ways of being a Christian as demonstrated by the number of sects and denominations that consider themselves such. And it seems that just about any way.
I guess that they're trying to leap at anything to try and make me look insane according to something else. Apparently the way that they figure, one of the ways that they figure these profiles out is they have you surveyed and monitored while at home, and they notice what objects you move around in relation to the most. So if you spend 2 hours a night practicing singing in front of the TV and you're moshing and stuff like that, then the TV or the TV video is the object you move around the most. So then they'll say they'll move to say you're insane because of video, not, you were choosing to mosh along with a song that you love, or you were singing along to artists whose songs you love. Yeah, because of what religion actually means to me if I have to contend with it, I'll go home to the luxury lullaby melodies of nu metal, Korn, Manson, and Bowie, and 9 Inch Nails, and I'll do that. But yeah, so he thought he could make a fair argument. This guy's insane because of his TV video. So I went to Melbourne to notify. So I gotta memorize the name of this fallacy. Ignoratio elenchi. So to set out and prove something, but then the example's wrong, and you end up proving something else. Arguing beside his point, but directly to another conclusion. Yeah. Because that's been the other thing with confronting Roger on a lot of his unlawful accostings during work time. Is I actually, without an apology and without, strict discussions of apology in relation to which discrimination acts he broke and why he broke them. I mean, do you accept him saying, I don't know why I said that, I don't know why I ordered that of you? Because I'm starting to get some idea. In that Freemason religion, you've got Lucifer beating Jehovah, the Christian God, and Jesus is just an ideological martyr. They don't consider that he was unjustly executed in his day. They just think he gave up too easily for his own cause. That'll definitely take some reinvesting in Matthew, Luke, and John.
so common that the world, we see it with our eyes.
I'm so tangential tonight. I've had a lot to drink.
If you were to go up to the top of the mountain and look all around you, you would see.
Yeah, but for me, this fallacy is relevant. This ignoratio elenchi. Ignoratio elenchi.
So people tended to believe that
Elenchi.
it actually was.
Because it does very much remind me of Roger. Like, he's not clear when you work for him what his company privileged information is about. He keeps it a secret, asks you to keep a secret. You're not completely sure what it is you're keeping secret. But yeah, when he tries to move against the integrity of your psyche and erect a profile, and you know, I might need a spew. Hang on. Oh yeah, it was that each time someone believes what I say, I become a lie. A bit from Doppelherz. To my mind, that was never. If you watch any interviews, Marilyn doesn't intend for anyone to take anything for granted. That's the challenge he tries to make with a lot of his interviews and music videos, making people question, so you don't take things for granted. So him saying each time someone believes what I say, I become a lie. I think he's saying that he'd feel insincere if you weren't to question the things that he's saying too. He doesn't want you to be a believer in him. You know, David Bowie makes a bit of fun of in his song DJ. He sings, you know, I am a DJ, I am what I play. I've got believers believing in me. I see it as a bit of a mockery of the whole archetypal leader who's got followers and people believing in them. It's healthily complementary to a sense that you have, other supportive minds, people who believe that you have the potential that it takes to get certain jobs done. But it's a Socratic promotion, like question what he has to say. Don't take what he has to say for granted just because he's saying it and go, oh, whatever Marilyn Manson says, I'll believe because he's Marilyn Manson. So it's, yeah, private sector employers who are violating your privacy, studying you while studying the film, and they're concluding without even asking you how you interpret it. Oh, is this film making you think you have to believe in lying? And well, I can see where they got that interpretation from, because they were the ones always lying about watching, knowing how to watch their stuff in private. So maybe they should address themselves in that regard. Alright. Gotta go. I'm watching Sam Harris in a debate with William Lane Craig, who started a reasonablefaith.org. It's pretty much it's a theologically driven proselytizing vehicle of William Lane Craig's. His position is, throughout all his debates, he's trying to insist that faith in Christian theism is rational, a form of rationalism. I'm watching him debate Sam Harris on whether objective moral metaphysics are possible, independent of belief in God, in the existence of God, of the theistic God. So William Lane Craig's position is that no, it's not possible, and you would be left thinking that morals are just a social convention and like a biological spin-off. It's saying you'd be left with relativistic and nihilistic perspectives, that you can't agree that certain morals are universally, objectively relevant, irrespective of different beliefs and different opinions. So Sam Harris does really well in this, and his book, The Moral Landscape, is the first book I've read by a recent atheist, where there's Atheism, Morality and Meaning by Michael Martin. But debates on moral theory typically will either be are morals, or is morality relativistic or objectivistic, objective or relative. So yeah, Craig is trying to say they can be considered to be objective, but only having supposed the existence of the theistic God beforehand. So it's interesting because in another debate of William Lane Craig's, he comfortably makes the statement, God can give and take life as he pleases or sees fit. I think that was in relation to children dying, example. I think it's Walter Synod Armstrong he's debating against. And yeah, I hate that sort of excusory talking. It's like, yeah, God can give and take life as he sees fit. Not my moral theory. Roger Toll would be the first man to directly speak to me in a definite pedophilic manner, and the tussle and beef that I'm involved in was of his initiation. It's come to the point where all his means as for crime will be officially reported. And I'll have to talk with press networks that do not agree with his business. I have to find out who they are. So if anyone knows which media networks don't support Capital Chemist, I'd be interested in learning of names. Thanks. What's dangerous with the concept of over the hill? People been, over the hill. If they have a family, then they have, they've had children who have grown up a bit, so they've got young now matured children who can take care and tend to the needs of the older person in the family. If they're an artist or an actor, you know, they can tailor the sort of work they do so that the work conforms to their needs as a person getting older. But what happens in a business like private investigating or dangerous mind file profiling or something like that, you know, say that they're doing that, and they're fucking stupid codgers, on top of other things, then that means that for the sort of work they'll set out to do, they'll be in some work environment where they're not being audited. No one's, like, think of a demented man trying to make it to the toilet and he shits his pants on the floor. Now that's obviously sad. It's obviously sad he didn't make it to the toilet. But if you've got a man like that who's got like a Cleveland steamer running down the inside of his thigh, and he's like, "But don't you know who I am? I'm Roger Mark Binnell Sator, and I'm built Capital Chemist." And he's like, "Yeah, I can still clockwork people. I can still spot a dangerous mind from a mile away. I'm fucking sharp-handed. I'm quick-witted. I'm sharper than the atom." You know, fucking whatever he says to himself. You know, he's got no family, no kids. Pissed off the time to procreate and knock his fucking wife up. Talks like a fucking idiot. Thinks like a fucking idiot. Excuses himself like a fucking idiot. Then we now face the possibility that he'll be endangering innocent civilian lives, jeopardizing their reputations, putting fake documents against their name, and all you'll do is catch him aside, and he'll be like, he'll be shying off, going, oh well. And then as a last resort, he'll be the one to say, "Well, maybe what if I'm getting a bit old?" So, well, then get the fuck out of private eye work right away. As soon as you had the first fucking sign of it, you should have pulled out of that work. You fucking degenerate, fucktard, faggot idiot. Now you deserve to get your head smashed in, but you're too old that no one will want to smash your head in. "Oh, well, I devoted my life to science, and if I want to study from private distance, private detection systems, private." And that's the sort of man that Roger Tor will be going home from his next little session to his fucking wife now. There's generally no one stationed. It should be even worse than when they have trainee up and coming researchers and analysis of the mind. It should be even worse. Like, if you've got to have one auditing, assessing teacher or educational professional stationed to approve of your work while you're an up and comer, then you've got to have about fucking 10 to 12 of them when you're coming down the fucking mountain. Because that's but I'm sure Roger Tor's saving that special place for his mother and sister back in Tasmania, of course. It's an interesting topic to think about, is the reality of getting old and over the hill in relation to the type of work you do. You know, an old person, so I'm not discriminating against the elderly when I say things like this, and if an elderly person is doing, like, there's an old man who cleans the stairs at these units, and I've never mocked him once or anything like that. One other tenant said, you know, he hates the sound of the tapping from the broomstick apparatus near the door or the window, and he's written up signs saying, "Don't tap the fucking stick." But, you know, in Roger Tor's case, with what he does with research, if he's a fucking idiot now, like he's now at the age where for him to call himself any sort of researcher at his age, plus his Freemason religion, after all he's said and done, and how good he is at being so wrong and forming the dumb fuck conclusions. Well, that's what we've got insurance for. If we ruin lives, can't we just call the insurance people? No, Roger, it means you're a genuine fucking idiot. Look in the mirror, look at your face. Yes, that face that looks like the donkey raped the pizza and spooged on the goat and got the goat semen and mixed it in and went to the Freemason temple. And used it as lubricant for Rolf Harris's dick shaft, and then you excused him because you knew it was only Rolf's genes and he wasn't really being a naughty boy, so you sucked the kids, the sweat off Rolf Harris's shaft too, because, you know, you're open to his rights. Yes, Roger, we understand all that, but you are too old to research anyone. You're a fucking idiot, and you can't research a fucking thing. Go to single-celled here. We'll get you a little microscope. Amoebas, paramecium. Paramecium have little silica hairs. It's fascinating. Maybe you can sell them wax off, easy wax strips for the silica hair on paramecium, because you're a fucking monger when it comes to any sort of social scientific research. Do you accept that, Roger? Because you're gonna. You're gonna at the peril of your whole company's image. Fucking Roger the faggot. Over and out. I think of Roger Toll as, idealistically, I think of him a bit like the businessman who got excited at the prospect that he would be able to invest in pages and pages thick of various variety of claims about genetic triggers this, genetic triggers that, and make any sort of claim you can verbally comprehend or imagine about, and convince people that genetics actually operate this way, because he calculated it would result in mass power to say, you know, this person is psychotic because of the orange tree out on the lawn out there, and, you know, they could come up with enough lingo that it would seem plausible. And, you know, talk in the same tone as, you know, the parents and the family set their stereo to have the singers on their stereo singing psalms and hymns to the Lord. And then, you know, he has his businessmen accost and speak to them in similar tones. Yes, we just want to help. We think you're such and such a person has genetic such and such. And he calculated the profits for antipsychotic supplies would be so tremendous. So he's like this. He's ambitious in that regard, but he blew all etiquette and basic policies that influence, like, things like our Human Rights Act, all out of proportion, just because he wanted to keep reaching for that goal. He became a person willing to say that people have done things they haven't done, but don't remember it, so they can't go to court. But they have to be on the medicine. As long as it always came back to, but they have to be on this class of medicine. And then there you have his what he'll tell you himself are, like, you know, the big buck pharmaceuticals if you ever work for him, which will be the point in your career where you'll go, nah, get fucked. If you're actually if you're violating rights just to try and push these substances, you're actually worse than the meth. You're worse than a meth lab. These people can choose not to go to a meth lab. And that's sort of who Roger Toll is. Like, that's his, like, good sport chap. And that's probably why he's not too keen on, you know, coming forward and admitting to the sorts of things he's into doing. But it's actually very, very sick, very fucked in the head. It's like him becoming, in the course of trying to get this dream realized, he started to pick people that weren't even mentally compromised, but in fact understood philosophy and human rights policies better than he himself did, and go, oh, you must have blown up the country of Sweden by hiding dynamite in your ass because you won't admit you're really gay deep down, are you? I'll put you in a psych ward and they'll sort you out. That's sort of how Roger Toll's head works. He's a fucking idiot. True fucking idiot. So yeah, I guess it proved in the end that investing a professional effort to the Capital Chemist franchise was a more hideous error than the Uniting Church turned out to be. And once someone like Gary had come forward and said, well, I'm a Freemason, I should have said, well, on what grounds are you have you shown me that you've been violating my privacy rights? And what does a Freemason believe in? And then he could have done his little testimony about what the Freemasons believe in, and I would have gone, well, your group's probably fucked then, I'm out. And then I would have found a different career path. So, I'm not sure if we have another case of rumor overturning, reliable journalism here, but in their adventures, entering into seniority, Gary and Roger were holding hands, I think, at an AFL field, and they got some sort of, not, you wouldn't call it backstage, but they were allowed into the locker room where the team, the footy team, shower and change, and Gary and Roger were caught in the same shower cubicle, and one of the football players said, "What are you fucking guys doing in there? You're not even on the team." And then Roger said, "We're doing roids." I can't do his voice. No, we're doing roids. You beauty, we're doing roids. And the guy's like, "Oh, really? You guys are hitting up roids?" He's like, "I'm hitting up Gary's roid right now." And they opened the shower cubicle, and Roger was sort of in the felching position, which is where he kneels down and opens up the butt cheeks of Gary's butt cheeks, and applies his tongue, waggling it like so against a hemorrhoid of Gary's butthole. He's like, "Yeah, can't you see I'm doing roids?" And then the football players just started laughing, and they're like, "No, steroids are like juice, to build and increase muscle density before important football matches." You're talking about hemorrhoids, which are piles near the sphincter. They tend to be quite painful, and you need to use certain ointments to symptomatically give yourself relief. You're not supposed. Yeah. And Roger's like, "Oh, well, we hate drugs and junkies. We thought we'd start out lightly with roids, our roids." Anyway, there was some confusion there about what doing roids means. They seem to think it was, licking a sphincteral pile. Yeah, interesting story. Jeff, can you say something rude and nasty?
It's not in my nature. He's a nice man. That's right, I'm a nice boy.
Alright, can I flip it? Oh, here we are.
You can say something.
I can say something rude and nasty.
But yeah, I did find it offensive. They often small names to people that...
My new Ramstein shirt. I was trying to find a Manson shirt, and they are out of stock at land speed. I might have to order online. Also, it's time people bought David Bowie t-shirts. I will be buying a few of those. This webisode series is proudly imaginatively sponsored by Remember David Bowie. They're our Audi bags. So I'm approaching. I'm dealing right now with the realization that we've reached 38 episodes. I'm about to assemble the 39. I've also been talking to the G-Man here about my book. What do you what are your thoughts on my book? Should I definitely write the book?
I've always been supportive of you writing your book. It's anything creative is worth doing.
You hear that? That was straight from the G-Man. My expectation is that the amount of death threats I get will increase with the book, corresponding to the release of the book. But it's got to be done.
Whereas the younger generation,
Luke, write the book. Luke, write the book. Luke, write the book. Write the fucking book. Good morning. We're approaching close to 11:30. This is my clothes bomb, just here. Quite a lot of clothes there, which my socks need doing. They're the priority. That'll be the first load after Ian, the physiotherapist, has arrived. I'm just testing out. This is called Bougie camera. There seems to be a Kuji camera and Bougie camera. Bujikuji. Obviously, parodic of Fuji, the old films, brand of film. But yeah, it's a video test. I'll leave it at that. And my new Bowie shirt, Miss Bowie. So, if Roger's now thinking, you know, oh, you think about a lot of things, you would have been an asset to the company as well. Once you have confirmed numerous times that he will abscond the rules of fair play, so you can't enjoy solitude when sleeping at home. You tend to recover, you will distance yourself. So otherwise, it would be quite simple. You would be approached in a polite introduction. We'd like to discuss that matter. It's a much better way to comport oneself as a manager is to prove to the workers that their rights are respected by the business. Otherwise they get freaked out. Also, I have thought about the future of pharmacy. There are pharmacists now that fear the future of the profession, and you know, I didn't agree with a lot of the ad hominem terms that I've seen Gary use. I mean, how do you truly rule out that a person is not accessing their right to health? It may indeed be better to have vending machines in Woolworths and Coles with prescription drugs in them, and have the sick citizen peg a card with a strip into the vending machine to get their prescription dispensed to them, having ruled out any intervention from a pharmacist. Pharmacists can fuck around with the doctor-patient confidentiality. They can force you to divulge elements of your conversations with your GP, which they may then go and take out of context later. And in that sense, they can become a hindrance because, you know, their job is essentially they're like the limbs of the doctor, you know. But it's rare to find a pharmacist who is true to the code of ethics. The greatest in Canberra is a man named Alan Jackson. I consider him to be the most ethical pharmacist in the ACT. But yeah, if pharmacists are going to intercept a doctor's patient and try and tell them that they're bad or should feel guilty or ashamed for using a particular substance, it would be better not to even deal with that pharmacist. It'd be better to have a vending machine and go, if they step back and go, well, this patient may have questions concerning the pharmacological effects of this substance, we could be a help then. But if they think they can fuck over the doctor, which many of them do in their attitude, you should come down off this. You should get a GP's qualification, or teabag my balls. So in that sense, yeah, maybe we don't want the pharmacist. They're worried about that. They're worried that these vending machines already exist, and if there's debate about whether they should, it'd be a better benefit to plant them in Coles and Woolies. All counselling could be about the pharmacological effects of a substance. It could be reiterated that the GP should factor that in for every patient. Now that prescription drugs are vending machine dispensed in Coles and Woolworths. It's a better way. Because I have seen the pharmacist get in the way. That's happened to me. Seen it happen to other people. They form opinions where they usurp what the doctor has already said, and what gives them the right to do that. Their interpretation of taking the health needs of the patient as the first consideration. Well, still, that's not more noteworthy than the conversations they've already had with the doctor. So, yeah, if there's that's a doctor shopper, that's a junkie, that's an addict, and that goes on in the pharmacy, it generally would be better off to have vending machines in Coles and Woolworths and no pharmacist. Yeah, because that really does go on. Like, why are you thinking about me just in terms of what I put in my mouth? Do you need a blowjob? No. You don't want people judging you and naming you by some ad hominem about pertaining to what you put in your mouth.